Hey everyone, this is Aditya from Finsweet. Today we're going to be building a Webflow tabs component with draggable tab links using SwiperJS, and Andre is going to be helping me with this.
Hey, I'm Andre from Finsweet. Glad to be here.
That's effing sweet.
Well, this is the clonable that we are going to be working with. It's straightforward. This is just a dummy section. And here we are going to be building the components that we're going to be building today. And this is what we're going to be building. So as you can see, this is basically a tabs component. But the difference here, what makes it special, is that you can drag this. And when you select something, it automatically goes to the first spot. And this is something that is extremely useful when you have, for example, a lot of content that you want to show on a tab. Lately, a lot of clients have been using this, so we have been getting quite some requests for this section, and I felt like people might benefit from knowing how to do this. And yeah, it also works with, if you click on these arrows, it's still going to work. So it's very helpful when you have a lot of content, a lot of tabs, and you don't know what to do. It's also like fully responsive for mobile, so if you do this, you can still see that it looks nice. And you can know that there is more tabs here that are next, so you can see all of them. So this is what we are going to be recreating today. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is come up with a basic setup for this, and that is a div block that is a component. So I'm going to call it slider component. Inside this, we need to have two div blocks for our arrows. So I'm going to say slider arrow next. And again, I'm going to use the same one here. And later, just once we add our styles, I'm just going to duplicate this and change the name to our previous. We can use a combo class, but I prefer to just use a single class. You can use a combo class if you want. And then we want to add in the main tabs component here. So this is our basic tabs component. And again, this is what we are building here. So you can see this is what we're trying to achieve. So this is our tabs component. And I think this is good for now. I think the only last thing we need is a swiper pagination. We might need this in the later part of this video. It's not mandatory. And if you have used SwiperJS before, you will know that this is the class. Actually, it's not an underscore, it's just a dash. So you will know that this is the default class name for swiper pagination. So don't change this. You have to use this. I mean, you can change it, but then you have to change it in the custom code as well. So this is the basic setup complete. Now I'm just going to go ahead and quickly just give some basic styling to these tabs. And yes, I think it should be possible to use it with CMS. Right, Andre? What do you think?
Yeah, I was looking here at attributes, and yes, we didn't build it with CMS, we built it static. But since the attributes load before the SwiperJS code, it can work fine.
Yep, I think it should work. We can try that. Okay, so I'm going to say slider tabs. You have to give it an ID so we can target this later. So that has a class, and then I'm going to give a class to these tab links, slider tabs link. Just going to copy and paste this a few times. Let's remove all this spacing here, and let's add in some margins. And let's remove that background. Let's make sure the text color is white. Yeah, we're not going to exactly match it with what's on that other example site, but we'll just try to be a little bit close to that. Okay, I think this is good. And then inside of the tabs pane, I'm going to add in slider content. I'm going to hide the pagination for now and also the arrows for now, just to reduce the clutter. Let's add in some padding. I'm going to add in an image. let's make sure it's 20 rem cover, just so we can see things properly. Okay, and then this one can have, I'm gonna throw in an H2 and a paragraph. Set in a padding small. All right, so that's gonna be our tabs slider content. And I'm just gonna paste that in the next two. So of course, 3 are not enough. This is a use case for when you have a lot of tabs. So let me just, this is a tab title. Let me just make that a little bit bigger and then increase the number of tabs here. I'm gonna add it from here because copying and pasting just doesn't work very well. So I'm gonna add in 10, and you will now have to watch me copy and paste about 7 or 8 times. We definitely need all these tabs to see if it's all working correctly. And it would be nice to make sure they're a little bit long as well. So that's why I'm gonna replace these numbers with actual text. Okay, and I think the last thing to do here is to select the tabs link, and then actually first select the tabs menu, give it a slider tabs link wrapper, and let's give it a flex horizontal. And then we're gonna select the tabs here and make sure that it's do not shrink. So now it's gonna go all the way out from here. Right, so no more. Oh, and I also need to copy and paste all of this. Okay, I think this is like the basic setup complete. Yep, it's working. And I'm gonna add in some basic styling here for the current state and the normal state. So this can be gray. You can have a border that is gray, and then in the current one, it can just be white. Okay, and you can also, by the way, use your tab change interactions. I'm not gonna do that right now, but you can use it. That's fine. It's gonna work. Okay, so this is all looking good. Now I think we can move on and make this draggable. Oh, and to do that, since we're using SwiperJS, we'll have to change this a little bit. So this slider tabs will actually be swiper, and then we can give it the slider tabs class. This one is gonna be, let me open up Swiper demos, SwiperJS demos. So this is where you can find plenty of demos.
It will be a swiper wrapper.
Right, yeah, this one is gonna be swiper wrapper. And then swiper tabs link wrapper. All right. So you always have to make sure that these classes are being applied correctly, and then you can add your own class to it afterwards. That's fine. And these are actually going to be swiper slide. Yeah, I'm just going to rename that. Now I'm going to go ahead and change it for all of them. So swiper slide. Let's keep it simple as that. Okay, so in the swiper demos, of course, you have a lot of options here, but what we're going to be using in this tutorial is free mode. So what free mode does is it lets you drag freely. So this is what we need, right? You can drag it freely like this. So that's what we need. So I'm just going to click here on core just to see the code that is being used here. So we're just going to grab this part, and I'm going to put it here inside of the body, and this needs to be replaced with the class name of our swiper. So I'm going to use this one here, slider tabs. So as long as I just replace that, it should work. I think everything else looks good. Slides per view is going to be auto because it's free mode, and then free mode is set to true. Space between, let's make that like 56. Let's see if this is working. So I'm just going to publish now, and let's see how that looks. Oh, published. All right. I'm totally not used to websites being published this fast. Okay, so you can now drag it, and you can change tabs. But of course, this is not enough because you want people to know that there is more towards the right, and that's why we want this to automatically go to the first spot when it's in active state. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so that's our swiper setup. Now to make sure that the active tab automatically goes to the first spot, you need to add in this piece of code here. I'm going to add it and also put in a comment here so that we can remember what this is for. Make the active slide first. And Andre, you can explain what this code is exactly doing, but it's very straightforward.
When we click on the swiper slide, that is the tab links that we have on the tab complement. We add a listener to click events. So when we click, we get the index of the swiper slide that we click. So when we click on the swiper slide, we got the index and it started on a constant. So we can grab the index dynamic, and then we click on the element swiper pagination bullet. That is the bullet of the SwiperJS. We click on the right, on the correct index, and we make a click event there too. So when we click on the tab link, we click on the bullet of the SwiperJS, and then the tab go to the first place. Basically, is this that the code is doing.
Awesome. So let's see how that works now. Okay. So as you can see, it's working, but you can also see that it is going a little bit beyond. I think I know why, but at least it's working. And you can also see that inside of our pagination, you will see that it automatically Swiper generates all these pagination bullet classes. So that's what we are targeting with that code. And then we are getting the index number of that, and then making sure that when you click, it just goes to the first one. I think the reason it's going beyond like that is because I'm using margins. I'm going to remove this. Inside of Swiper, we already specified here the space between. I think it's clashing with that. So let's see. Let's refresh. Okay, there you go. So now it's perfectly working. It's stopping at the very beginning here. And then it doesn't happen anymore once the last swiper is like at the end, because there is no more after this, right? So it doesn't make sense to just keep on sending this all the way to the left. I think it stops here, and I think that's perfect behavior. And it also works in reverse. So that's it. Like, you can also drag it and you can click on it, and now it works. So it's quite easy. It's just a little bit of JavaScript that powers it, and it's super powerful. Now let's go ahead and style these arrows. We want the arrows to obviously change not only the tab, but also move this swiper here on top. And we also want it to be on loop. So let me style this a little bit. So let me unhide it first. I'm gonna give it a very small size. Let's make it white background and black text. I don't have arrows right now, so I'm just gonna add in a text block, and for the previous, I'm gonna say P, and for the next, I'm gonna say N. That should be okay for this. And of course, we want to make it absolute. I'm just gonna make it like 40%. No, 20 rem from top. Oh, needs to be the component needs to be relative. Okay. And then here is my arrow. You're gonna move it like minus 2.5 rem from the left. I think 20 is too much, more like 12. Yeah, I think that works for now. I'm not gonna go into too much detail with this. But yeah, this can now be duplicated. Again, you can use a combo class, that's totally okay. I just like to use a single class here. This is gonna be previous. And now, of course, this is gonna be minus 2.5 from the right. Oh, actually, yeah, perfect, actually. Yeah, P and N here looks good. Okay, so we are not going to be using pagination from the arrows from SwiperJS. Normally, what happens is you could add in arrows here, but we are not going to be doing that. We're going to be doing it a little bit differently because, again, there are a lot of moving parts. So I'm going to, I have the code for it ready. I'm going to paste it in here. So this is to make the active slide first. So after this, now I'm going to paste this, and let's add in a comment here that explains what this does and makes arrows functional. I can improve this later, but for now this works. Okay, and here we need to add in the class name of our next arrow. So this is going to be slider arrow next, and this is going to be slider arrow previous. Okay. And this is going to be the class of your tabs component. So I'm just going to see what that was again real quick. So it's slider underscore tabs. So just going to add that in there. And that's basically it. You don't have to make any other changes. Let's see if this works. And once it does, then Andre can explain what that code is doing a little bit. So just going to publish this and let's see. Okay. Oh. Is it working correctly? I think it's the wrong order.
Yeah, I think it's inverted.
So this can be minus 2.5 rem, and this can be 2.5 minus from here. And this can be previous, and this can be next. All right. Yep, now it's correct. Okay, let's see. Okay, looking good. You can, of course, add some nice hover effects here, and cursor can be pointer so that it doesn't do this. But yeah, it works, and it will loop, I believe. So this is very helpful as well. Okay, so I guess we can now go a little bit into this code and what this is basically doing. Andre.
So let's see. This code, first off, we store a lot of classes on constants, so we don't need to keep changing it in every place of the code. We got the class of the slider arrow next, slider arrow brev, slider tabs, and also we got the class of that Webflow as for the tab link and for the current tab link that is active. So if you see in the first click function, we add an event listener to the slider arrow right, that is the next. And when we click on it, we search for the slider tabs, then we find the current one, and we get the next one, or what we can say the next sibling of the current tab link, and we check the length. If the next tab link exists, then we do the first part of the tertiary conditional. Then we will click on this next sibling. If the next sibling does not exist, we go to the second part of the tertiary and we click on the first tab. So this is what it does. Check the current tab link, see if we have the next one. If the next one exists, we click on that one. If the next one does not exist, we click on the first one. And this for the right arrow, for the arrow next. And we do the same for the arrow breadth, but we check the previous sibling. If this one exists, we click on this previous sibling. If this does not exist, then we click on the last tab link. Basically, is this what the code does?
Awesome. Yeah. So that's how it works. So if I go previous now, if there's nothing before it, it's just gonna select this one here. So that's how it loops basically. So this is JavaScript that powers that. We are not using SwiperJS arrows. We're just using custom arrows. So you can style it whatever way you want. That's totally okay.
One thing if I can.
Yep, sure.
Here, the code must be in this order. SwiperJS, the first one, then these two scripts, because if we add the two scripts above SwiperJS, it will not work, because SwiperJS needs to load in the page
first. Yeah, so it always has to be after this.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah, just have to make sure you follow the same order that is being used here. And don't load these before the Swiper initialization. Let's make it a little bit responsive, because of course you would want this to also work on a mobile device. So like normally it should be automatically responsive. It's still gonna work on mobile, but you can use Swiper breakpoints. So you can do this breakpoints, and then you can open this, and inside that, I'm just gonna add in like one breakpoint for 320. So like anything above 320 pixels wide, the space between is reduced to 32 from 56. And anything above 480, the space between can stay at 56. Actually, is this? No, it's just a comma. Actually, let's see if it works. And also, we have to close the breakpoints. Okay, so this is going to make sure that from 320 to 480, your space between is 32 instead of 56. But anything more than that, it's 56. And I think that's pretty much all you need to do here, because you can reduce the text size in Webflow. No need to do anything in the custom code there. You can just reduce this gap here, and that will, I think, make it pretty good for mobile. As long as you can see like 2 or 3 of these at a time, it should tell people that there is more that you can click on. And also you can adjust these arrows a little bit to pull them in closer. So instead of, it can be minus 1.25 maybe, and let's bring that on top. So like it's enough to tell people that there is more slides here that you can click on next, or you can click on different tabs. Okay, so now we're gonna work with, first let's see if that change I made, it didn't break anything. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's still working fine, so we didn't break anything. And here you can see the gap is reduced to 32. So that's all I would recommend really for making it responsive. Now let's go ahead and set up the pagination. So right now it's hidden. I'm going to make it visible. I'm going to also make it absolute. And I'm going to make it like 22 from top and give it a height of like 1 rem. I want it to be like between the image and between the heading. So let's pull it further down and let's increase this a little bit. Okay, so you have your pagination here. Also going to make it 100% width, and we will also make it flex horizontal center. So now if we already have the swiper pagination specified here under pagination, so we don't need to do anything here in the code. That should work, but of course we need to style it a little bit because we are not importing the swiper CSS. So we need to style it a little bit on our own. So yeah, you can't see it right now, but I'm gonna add in an embed here. And let's style the bullets. So I'm just gonna probably do swiper pagination bullet, and let's give it a width of 0.5 rem, height of 0.5 rem, a border of maybe 1 pixel solid white, and then background can be transparent, so like making small circles, and then probably some margin, so 0 from top and 0.5 on the sides. Okay, I think that should be enough. Let's also make it a circle, so border radius 50%. All right, and then I'm gonna duplicate this whole thing and add in active here. This is the class that gets applied to the active bullet. So in this one, we just want to make the background white. I think that's it. Let's see. You won't be able to see it here. So let's publish and see what that looks like on the live site. Okay, so right, so you see only 5 dots here. And the reason for that is in the end, all of these other slides are visible on your screen. So SwiperJS naturally does not create more dots for it. And that's just a default behavior from Swiper. There is not much we can do with that. Maybe with some JavaScript, but it works. So if you select the second one, it highlights the second one. If you select the third, it goes to the third. But the problem here is if you change the swiper like this from the bullets, it does not change the active state on top. So as you can see, it's changing it, but it's not changing the active state. So that's a problem. And to fix that, there is a little more code that Andre came up with that I couldn't come up with, but he somehow did. And I'm going to paste that in now. So this is something you only need to use if you are using pagination, which I don't really recommend, but if your clients insist, you can do it. So we are going to need to comment this code out for this. So I'm just going to remove that and put it here and replace this with this new code. So let me also add a new description here that says, and change active state from slider dots. So with this, let me go ahead and publish this. I think we don't need to change any classes here. This can be used as is. Let's publish that and see how it looks. So if you change it now, you can see that the second one just got highlighted. And now the third, so it works. And now for this issue, like when it doesn't generate more dots, There is, I think, a workaround. Like you could probably give, I don't know, like a width maybe to these tab elements. We'll have to play around with that a little bit to trick Swiper into thinking that not all of these are visible at the same time. But as long as all of these are visible, it's not going to generate more dots here. So in any case, I don't fully recommend using dots, but this script makes it work. So Andre will explain a little bit what we did here with this. So yeah, you can go, Andre.
So here we got the first one that when we add a click a listener to those swipers light, and we check the index and then click on the correct swiper pagination bullet index. But then we need that when clicking on swiper pagination bullets, click on the swiper slide. So it's the same code, and what we did here with a little help of ChatGPT is adding a trigger to it. So this is why we have a let variable is swiper click false, and when we click on swiper slide, it's check if the swiper click is true or false. Then if this is true, it goes to do the rest of the code and then make it go false again. If this is, and for the swipe pagination bullet, when you click on it, it turns true. So it's just a trigger to not make this a loop. So when you click on the bullet, you click on the tab link, and then click on the bullet, that click on the tab link. This is just to prevent the loop.
Yep, I tried a lot of different scripts. I tried using the help from ChatGPT, and I couldn't crack this one. But yeah, Andre did it, and now we have this code, so you can always use this. So remember, if you don't want to use pagination, then this script is fine. But if you want to use pagination, you can remove this and replace it with this part. So I'm gonna leave this. Actually, let me add that information here as well. Use this if you don't want to use pagination. Use this if you want to use pagination. Okay, I think that should be it. Like, as you can see, everything here. Let's compare it with the original example that we came up with. So in the end, it can look as pretty as this. Look, if you properly style your different tabs and your previous and next arrows don't look this bad, you can come up with a really nice tabs component with this method. So that was it. We hope you liked this session, and I hope it helps you with your client projects.
If you like this type of content, leave a comment below so we can create more, and please hit the like button. Bye bye.